Good morning, and welcome back to the Teacher's Wake Up Call. It's a free-form Friday, and yet I know exactly what I'm going to be talking about, but I'm going to be talking about several things. Let's start with the fun things. Let's talk about anime. So, anime update. Yes, I have been watching the newest season of Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't know what to think of it right now. Okay, that opening sequence, that fight in the first episode, that was a bit dizzying. That was kind of like the slap in the face, a reminder of how brutal the combat can be. And I think I understand why some people are complaining about the animation. There is something raw. There is something visceral about the animation. There's something about the way that they are animating some of not the combat, but there's a scene, I believe, the third episode, the fourth episode, there's a conversation between Itadori and one of the newest characters that we just discovered. And I'm noticing the subtlety in the movement. It's almost as if they did motion capture on two people. It's like, pretend you're Itadori, pretend you're the other dude, and we're just going to film. And there's like some body weight shifts that I didn't see in other series, in other anime. I'm loving it. My only problem is that it's really wordy. I don't know how else to explain it. There's a buttload of exposition, a lot of talking, a lot of explaining, a lot of okay, let's lay the ground rules to this. And I find it draining. I finish an episode and I'm like, okay, what did I just see? What did I just watch? What did I just witness? So I'm not liking it, but I'm not completely overjoyed and giddy. I'm looking forward to the second season of live action One Piece, that's for sure. And I haven't been keeping up with Spy X Family, but it's on my to-do list during March break because this is the last day before March break. It could not have arrived faster. It's like I am so done. I'm so done. But I'm trying. I did some content, some Black History Month content with my grade 10s, and I got the weirdest compliment. This is like history class, but different. I was like, oh, okay. It's like, I'm not a history expert. I'm not a historian. I'm not a history teacher, but I love historical content. I love discovering things about something I thought I knew, I thought I understood, and I finish watching like a video or reading an article and going, that's new. And it always amazes me. And I'm always in that state of discovery and understanding. And I want to impart that to the students because that 1 year, that 1.5 year where I taught history, where I was told I was going to be teaching history, I never chose it. I always put myself in the position of the student, and I was always that student who would say, but why it was like that? But why? I remember studying, I can't remember what it was. I think it was American the American Revolution and its connection to Quebec history. And I clearly remember asking the teacher, but why this? Why this? And I kept on asking. And I put myself in the shoes of the student, and I say to myself, students are going to ask the same questions, will have the same reaction, but why? And I always do my best to give the best explanation possible, because I see myself in that situation, asking, okay, the book says this, but why? That's not enough. And of course, history books for kids, they always give a summary, a condensed version of what was going on. Like, for instance, the fact that Montcalm was completely drunk during the Battle of Les Plaines d'Abraham, okay? So few people talk about that, but yet it was a known fact that he was completely plastered. So one wonders if we would have won, I say we, if the French would have won that battle, that decisive battle, had he been sober. One wonders. So I like playing those games, and I know that there are students who are like that. So being told this is like a history class, but not at the same time, the kid didn't say better. I'm not a history teacher, but I kind of like that compliment. I kind of like that. And they liked what I presented on the influence of Black artists on contemporary music and the history of music, and how Black artists were manipulated, how their music was stolen, how they were abused as artists, and how they were vilified by, at the time, the white community. I could see the students, focusing. It's like, oh, really? And they liked that content. So of course I show the stuff. I give my explanations in French, but a lot of content available on YouTube is in English. But I do it of both. So speaking of content, speaking of news, speaking of stuff that is very disturbing, is it me, or lately everything on the news is about violence in schools, and how male students in schools are becoming more intolerant towards women, towards LGBTQ, and this was a study that was published recently by the Fédération Autonome de l'Enseignement. And they published this study that there are more and more young men who are violent and intolerant towards others and towards everything that is different. Now, yes, I could spend the next 20 minutes talking about the whys and the whatnots, but I want to talk about the timing. I want to talk about when this was shared on the media. And the CBC is not immune to this. There was a news bit that popped up on my YouTube feed yesterday about how there are many teachers in Nova Scotia who are quitting because of classroom violence. This week and last week, well, I say this week because Teacher Appreciation Week is being celebrated here this week at our school. We got new hoodies, we got food, we got gifts. But Teacher Appreciation Week was this weekend too, and last week. You couldn't have found another time to share this news? We want to appreciate teacher, and now let's remind all our teachers how, horrible conditions in the classrooms can be. Really? You couldn't have found another time to talk about this? You couldn't have found a better moment to talk about this? And of course, the government, good Lord, the government is focusing on everything but that. The government is still talking about how, I think they've dropped it, but right now, what is being discussed in the government right now? And let's not forget, education is a provincial matter, not federal. So I'm not going to talk about what's going on like the federal government, but provincially, they're talking in no particular order, building another bridge in the area of Quebec, okay, when there are absolutely no studies saying that building another bridge is the best way to resolve all the traffic issues that are occurring in the area of Quebec City. They're talking about, they declared, they announced the national insect for the province of Quebec. They actually spent time in chambers determining this, okay? They're talking about how, referendum. They're debating whether or not they need to have another referendum if the Parti Québécois comes into power, whether or not they're going to have another referendum when it is very clear that Quebecers do not want another referendum. The percentage of people who want a referendum for sovereignty, for independence, is actually lower than past referendums. They are talking about everything but issues that are pressing, whether it's health, whether it's education, whether it's the housing crisis, or price inflation in grocery stores. No one's talking about those things. I mean, media's talking about it because citizens are complaining about it, but are they addressing, and when I say they, are politicians addressing these matters? The only people who are talking about it, to be honest, are members of the Québec Solidaire Party, because I follow Étienne de Grandmont, who's one of their politicians, purely by accident on Instagram, because I find he's funny. The way he delivers his message, there's like sarcasm and humor, and I kind of like it. But the chances of them being elected are slim to none. I don't want to say it's worse than the CAQ, but CAQ, for those who are new to this channel, Coalition Avenir Québec, okay? You know, their nickname is the CAQ. I mean, you can interpret it any which way you want, but anyway. So the parties who are vying for power are not talking about the issues that are on the minds of citizens. And when the media plans to talk about violence in classrooms and issues amongst young people who are basically future electors, future voters, and they don't talk about that, and they rather talk about the national insect, which, by the way, is a butterfly that feeds off of feces. Interpret that the way you want. It kind of disheartens those who would like to get involved in the democratic process, but when you don't hear what you need to hear, whether you are listening with your heart or with your head, it's kind of hard to want to participate because you're not hearing the things that you need to hear. And I try to stay logical and stay and not be like even the Parti Québécois, who is not the party that I would normally want to vote for, but when they're talking about things that, no, that's not what matters right now for citizens. Citizens want to talk about inflation and price gouging and the housing crisis and problems in education and in health, and yet no one's talking about it. And don't come and tell me, oh yeah, we'll be able to deal with it if we're independent. No, we're not. So it's hard. It's hard. But I have my coffee and I'm ready to tackle my day. Oh yeah, and other fun little thing. My students found my channel. I want to give like a little shout out to those girls who found my channel, because that was a clever bit of searching that, to be honest, I wouldn't have thought about looking that way. But, you know, thank you, Instagram. They were able to find my channel. I hope they'll subscribe. I would like to hit 300 before my birthday. Is that too much to ask? I'd like to have a nice round 300 for my 51st birthday. It would be something nice. I've gabbed on long enough. I need to do some corrections. Have yourselves an awesome, awesome day.